Hello and welcome to Amir Khan Project Management Academy. This is the first video about Oracle Primavera P6, and in the first video we will see how you can create a new project using the latest version of P6. So let's begin. So I will open the P6 on my system. So we will enter the admin ID and password, login. And if this is the first time you are using P6, so this window will pop up and it will ask you to select some preferences. So we will just click OK here. And we need to select the industry that we are going to use in our projects. So what we can do, we can just go to admin and then go to admin preferences, and we can select the industry, select any industry that you are working in. So let's select engineering and construction. You can select any industry of your choice. So we will close. All right. So before we start and before we create our first project in Oracle Primavera P6, so basically this series will give you all the information that you need in order to plan, execute, and monitor and control your project of any industry and size. So we will be adding a project, we'll be defining the activities, WBS diagrams, calendars. We will also be working on risks. So we will be following the PMI terminologies, PMI standards, and we will be performing each and every step, each and every activity that is part of the PMP certification as well. And one more important thing, that if you have not installed P6 on your system, so there is a link in the description, so you can open the link. This is the link of my another YouTube video, and you can find all the steps you can follow in order to download and install P6 on your system, and then you can start working and creating your own projects. So once you have installed P6, so you will open the P6, enter the ID and password. So this will be the first screen on your system. So in order to create a new project, all you have to do is click here on Enterprise and then go to Project. So this window will open here. And if you want to open an existing project, all you can do is right click and then click on Open Project. But we are not going to open any existing project. In fact, we will be creating a new project, and then we will continue from there, and we will be adding all the steps for the planning, execution, monitoring, and controlling till the closing of the project. So in order to create a new project, we will click here on the plus sign on the right side, click on the add button. And the very first thing that we need to do is to select the EPS, which stands for the Enterprise Project Structure. So we can click here on some of the existing EPS. So these are all the existing EPS. Now what is an EPS? EPS is the project structure. It is like you have different folders in your computer. So you have a main folder, then you have the subfolder. So the same thing we have in the projects. You have the main category of the project, then you have the subcategory of the project, and so on. So you can create the detailed hierarchy of different projects. For example, you have the top level as the information and technology. Within the information and technology, you have AI projects, you have web development projects, and so on. So that is the main purpose of the EPS. So you can select any EPS, and if the desired EPS is not available here, so what you can do, you can close this window and you can click cancel here, and we will go to Enterprise, and within the Enterprise we have the option of Enterprise Project Structure. So we'll click here on EPS. So this is the same thing, the same information that we saw in the previous window. So in order to create your own structure of projects, all you can do is click here on add button. So here you have the new EPS, and you can give it a name, the ID and the name. So for example, for ID, let's call it AI, and in the EPS name we can call it artificial intelligence. Although it can be under IT, but just to demonstrate you how you can create a separate standalone EPS, so you can just give it any name, any ID. So this is artificial intelligence. Now let's say instead of having it all separate, if you want it to be under IT, let's say, so what you can do, just select the EPS and you can use these arrows to put it under the IT. So if I just click here on the shift right, so we can see now that AI is now under IT. So it is just a category of project. Now remember, EPS, these are not the projects. Okay, these are not the projects, these are just the categories of projects. It is just like the name of your folders, and then within each folder you will have different projects. So EPS are not projects, these are just the categories. And then you can also specify the responsible manager, that who is the responsible manager for this whole category. So we can click here and we can specify the name or the title of the responsible manager. Let's say we can just call it AI director or any other person as the responsible for all the AI projects. So if you don't have the desired responsible manager, so we can close this window and we can click close here. So the EPS has been added, so we can just close here. And before we create a new project, let's add the OBS as well. So again we will go to enterprise and we will click here on OBS. So these are all the different titles, different names that we already have. So if we want to create a new responsible manager, so OBS, which stands for the organizational breakdown structure, so we can click here on add. So just click OK here, and this is the new OBS. So we can just, let's call it AI director. So that is the name of the new OBS, and we can give any description as well, and we can close. Now remember that the OBS and EPS, they don't have any impact that how you will be managing or executing your project. They don't have any impact on that part. So it is just the like structuring your projects, giving them proper hierarchy. So that is the only purpose. Okay. So now once you have specified the EPS and OBS, we can now continue to create a new project. So again we will click here on this add button and we will create a new project. So again, the first thing it is asking us to do is to select the EPS. So we can now click here and go to our desired EPS. So let's say the new project we are going to create is under AI. So click here, okay, and then click here on the select button, or you can just double click there as well. Then go next, and now it is asking for the project ID. So this is specific to our project. So let's call it AI 101 and any name. So let's just call it AI project. All right. Then we will click next, and then we will have to specify the proposed project start date and finish date. And if we go next, again it is asking for some other information like who is the responsible manager. So if we go back previous, so we can give any date here, but we will cover the dates later on. But if we click next here for the responsible manager, so now it will take us to the OBS window, and we can select here, for example, the AI director. Double click. All right, then we can go next. These are some of the settings which we can change anytime during our project. So these settings we will see separately. So what we can do, we have just given the ID and the name to our project, and we have specified the responsible manager, and we will just click finish. We will not change any of the other settings, that we will see later on. So we can just click finish here. And what has happened here, that in the database a new project has been added. Okay? And as we can see here at the top, that this AI 101 or the AI project is currently open. So any open project you will see at the very top. All right, so that is the first thing, that we have created a new project in our system. Now once the project has been added, in the system, what should be the next thing? So that depends. For example, the next thing could be that you will have to create a calendar for your project. The next thing could be that you will be defining the resources or creating the resources in the system, not assigning, but adding or creating the resources in the system. Assigning the resources is later on in the planning phase of the project. Okay? So it depends that what should be the next step that you want to perform. So for example, in our scenario, the next project or the next step, that we would like to do is to create a calendar for our project. Okay. So what we will do is we will click here on enterprise and we will select calendar. Okay. All right, so that is the window we have, which we can use in order to create a new calendar or to modify any existing calendar. Now, before we start our work on calendars, let me explain you that why we need calendars. Okay, now the reason could be that if you are working on construction projects, so maybe you are working 5 days a week, 6 days, or maybe 7 days a week, and you are working in shifts like 12-hour 2 shifts, and maybe you are working from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. depending on the sunlight. So there could be different reasons that each and every project may have a separate calendar. Or for example, if you're working on any IT or any web development project, you're following normal routine time, like 5 days a week, and then you have 2 days as a weekend. Okay, and then along the way you will have Christmas or New Year holidays or Eid holidays, for example. So all of those holidays and timings you will have to specify in your calendars. And the reason is that later on when you will be developing the project schedule, so the project schedule will look at your calendar, that what are the working days and what are the non-working days. So accordingly the calendar dates will be created. So that is the reason we must have to specify the calendar. Okay, for example, if the duration of a project is 30 working days, so that is like the total duration of the project, but the calendar that you are using, it says that once you will start the project, there will be 10-day holidays. Okay. So there will be some holidays, maybe like New Year and Christmas. All in all, there will be like 10 days off. So in fact, if you look at the calendar, your actual days will be like 40 or 41 depending on the settings of your calendar, but the actual working days will be 30. So settings in the calendar, working, non-working days, they directly impact the total project duration, the length of the project. Okay. So again, for example, you have different constraints by the management or by the customer that the project must be delivered by end of the year or by end of the month. So then you will have to use a different calendar. You need to make sure that all the team members are working 7 days a week and there are no holidays. So that is the reason we must have to finalize the calendar before we start anything else in our project. All right. So again, to work on the calendars, so we went to the, let me show you again. So we went to the enterprise and then we clicked here on calendars. And there are 3 types of calendars: global, resource, and project calendar, that we will see in the next step. So first, let's see how to create or how to modify any existing calendar. All right, so here we have some of the calendars already available in the system, but what we will do, we will create a new calendar. So for that, we will click here on add button. All right, and then another small window. So the system is asking us to select a calendar which we feel is closest to what we are going to create, so that we will have to make less modifications. So let's say that the calendar that we are going to make is like a 5-day work week calendar. We will have different working days from the existing calendar, but this we feel is much closer to what we are going to create. So we can, for example, select this one, 5-day work week, as a template, and we'll click here on this plus sign, select. So now we have a calendar. So let's call it AI 5-day calendar. Okay, we can call it anything. So AI 5-day calendar, and press enter. So this is the new calendar that has been added into the system. Now this calendar currently will have exactly the same settings, the one that we selected in the template. So what we need to do, we need to make some modifications as per our requirements. So how to do that? We will select this calendar, AI 5-day calendar, and then we will click here on modify. So we click here on modify, and these are the current settings in our calendar, that it's a 5 working day calendar with Saturday and Sunday off. Okay, and if we click on any working day, so we can see here that on any working day we have 8 hours per day. Now let's say we want to make some modification, that instead of Saturday and Sunday, we want it to be Friday and Saturday off. So we are working, for example, from Sunday till Thursday, and Friday and Saturday is off. So this is the change that we want to make. And remember that this is a permanent change, which means this change will be effective throughout the calendar for all the coming days. So what we can do here, we can click here on work week. Okay, we can click here on work week, and simply we will put 0 on non-working days. Okay, so our non-working days are Friday, so we'll put 0 in Friday, and Saturday is also a non-working day, whereas Sunday, Monday till Thursday all are working days. So for Sunday we will put 8, that is 8 hours per day. So that is the easiest way to modify any existing calendar. Okay, so we click OK, and now we can see that Friday and Saturday are off and all the other days are the working days. So all we have to do is click here on work week and make that change here. Click OK, and then if we go to the next month, we can see this change is throughout. Okay, this change is throughout. So that is the first step. Second step is that, okay, this is the standard setting that we have done, that we have 5 days in a week as working days and Friday and Saturday are off. But let's say that next month we will have some special holidays, for example any festival or any other event. So we will have let's say 5 days off. Okay? So we cannot do that by clicking on work week, otherwise it will impact the whole calendar. But the change we are going to make, these are some special holidays, special event. So simply what we can do, we will have to manually select. We can press the shift button. So I have selected 15, I press the shift button, and I pressed on 19th. Okay, so I have selected manually all of these days. Okay, so that is one thing. You press you select the 15th, press the shift button, and then you click on 19. So all the days have been selected, and then you simply click here on non-work. So you click here on non-work. So now these are the non-working days. So if we go back to February, so that is the standard settings we have. Next month we have an event, so we have some holidays, and then we have the standard working days. So that is how we can make some modifications. So you can do the same thing in December for Christmas, for New Year, or like Eid holidays during the month of Ramadan, and it depends. So if you want to change the standard 8 hours per day to some other duration for any specific day or week, so what you can do, you can again select those days. So I'm going to select this whole week from 12th till 16th. And all you need to do is to change the number of hours. So let's say I'll put here 12. So here we have that from 12 till 16th, these are all 12 hours per day. All right. And for all the others, it is all the standard time. So what we have seen is that how we can change the standard working and non-working days. And we have also seen that how we can add some special holidays during the calendar. And we have also seen that if you want to change the hours per day for some specific days. So these are the 3 things that we have seen. Now let's say that the standard work hours per day we have is 8, and you want to change this from 8 to 12 hours per day. as the standard timing. So all you can do is just click here on work week and just change from 8 to 12. So for all of the calendar, the work hours per day will become 12, 10, or whatever you want to specify. So again, all you have to do is just click here on work week and you put the number of hours, and for any non-working day you just put 0 here. And later on I will show you that how you can apply this calendar, or how you can select this calendar as the calendar of your current project. So click OK. So we have successfully added the calendar, so that is the name of the calendar. And if you want to make this calendar as the default calendar, you can just click this option, which means for any new project, by default this will automatically be selected as the calendar for your project, and we will click close. So that is how you can create calendars for your project. And if we go back one more time to enterprise calendars, so we had selected here global, which means that this calendar can be used by projects and can be used by any resource as well. Okay, now these are the two different things. You may have heard that projects, they follow a certain timings, working days, non-working days, which means project follows certain schedule or certain calendar that you may have heard before. But for any beginner, this is also important that the resources also have their own calendar. Okay, that the reason could be that, for example, you are working on a construction project and one of the resource you need is a machinery or a crane, for example. Now remember that for some activities the crane is the key resource, which means that if the crane is not available on site, you cannot do any other work. So you are heavily depending on the crane, which means that the crane will have its own calendar. For example, if the crane's calendar says that the crane will be available only for 3 days in a week, okay, 3 days in a week, which means your project will be executed for 3 days a week, because your project heavily depends on that resource, on that crane. So for some reasons, for some situations, you can also create the calendar for your resources as well. The method is same, so it is no different. It is exactly the same method that we have just seen, how to create the calendar for the project or for the global requirements.